Welcome to Master Raceway Laguna Seca, currently known as WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca, and just universally known as, of course, Laguna Seca. This track is located 340 miles north of the Long Beach area, add an extra 20 miles to that, and you find yourself at Auto Club Speedway, but go north about 75 miles and you find yourself in San Jose. This track takes advantage of its natural elevation changes and its very much use of open space, although that does not leave this track without some treacherous areas, one of them being this left-hand turn. Going under this bridge, you find yourself braking, maybe downshifting, and if you hit that red curb, you're most certainly going off of the racetrack and you find yourself in the gravel and hopefully not in the tire wall. Going up 100 feet, you find yourself at the most famous part of this racetrack, arguably enough, peaking at 931 feet at braking point, and you find yourself dipping down 50 feet in elevation into what is called the corkscrew. That left-hand turn going into a quick right, you find yourself speeding all the way downhill. Although that does not stop your downhill descent, because right here in this left-hand turn you find yourself a smoother 30 feet of downhill, a quick right-hand turn, and then you find yourself coming into the final left-hand corner. The main racetrack, it's easy. On pit entry, let's just say you shouldn't be the reason that the tire wall is there in the first place. This leads us to the car most recognized for this track, the 2016 Global Mazda MX-5 Cup car. While it has an unimpressive 160 brake horsepower, peaking at around 200 depending on the rev limiter, this 6-gear car is a blast to drive and has produced amazing racing over its history. Sadly though, the car was not exactly full of fuel for today, so instead we're going to be looking at a different car for today. It was made in 1991. It was also manufactured in Japan. 349 wheel horsepower and clocking in at 260 kilometers an hour maximum. Some of you may already recognize the car just from this picture alone. For those that don't, well, this is the ever so famous Nissan Skyline R32. In this case for Assetto Corsa, the WDT Street Mod. This was definitely a very fun car to take around. Right-hand driving, and this is, it took me a while, to say the least, to actually get a full lap around. So let's take a look to see how this car handles Laguna Seca in drifting fashion. Starting out going down this long front straightaway, I was wondering how the heck I was going to take the first corner, and it did take me a few attempts, around 10 to 15 minutes to get a decent lap. And turn 1, well, it took me a while, but I actually managed to nail it, and I got to get a drift just about throughout this entire corner. You can see the wheels though, I'm trying to just keep the car straight, and then, well, this is pretty much the only good portion of the lap, because every other corner I was either a bit too early on sliding, or I just took way too much speed in, like that last corner. Here, I turned in way too early, but you know what, it's still good, for the most part, just about. This next corner up here, though, under the Mother's Bridge, this left-hand turn, it is absolutely incredible. I somehow managed to nail that. And then, of course, the scary corner with the spooky curb. Well, my goal was to not hit it, and I didn't hit it, and I still went off the track. Even with a practice lap, just pacing around, I still went off the track, so that corner is pretty treacherous. Now the fun part for me was the corkscrew, where it took me a couple laps, but I managed to just nail that corner. Granted, the exit was a little bit sloppy and it could have been better, but I still managed to nail it. And then going down through this downhill section, again 30 feet, just about managed to get a drift going, but right here, this corner, it wasn't too bad. I was a bit wide on the entry, just caught it on exit, and then I lost it on exit about that same time. And then the final corner, where admittedly I was very, very narrow on entry, unfortunately. Although there is one track where I did manage to get a very solid drift lap. Let's head to Okinawa Sportsland.